Hello, welcome to our session 3 of compassion module brought to you by Deja Veda Edu Training Foundation. This session is about empathy, the most essential quality of civilization. So we're going to teach students about empathy. Before that, we're going to recap what we have done in session 1 and 2. So for our understanding, let me just recap what we have done in session 1 and session 2 with the students. In session 1, we have seen what is compassion through an activity called Circle of Safety, where we actually developed the need for compassion. Yeah, if we want to be happy, we would like to receive kindness and compassion from others, and everyone wants to be happy in this world. So it is essential that we show kindness and compassion to everyone around us. That was about that activity called Circle of Safety. So we learned the principle of reciprocity. When we show compassion, we get compassion. After that, we have learned about compassion through compassion drawing. We saw that this is the most important aspect of our activities, the compassion drawing, where the feeling is restored about compassion. Yes. Then we have seen some stories in session 1, some inspirational stories through which we convey to the students that our choice of words and language can create a positive or negative effect on others. If we choose right words, then we can truly connect with people and change their views. So this was about session 1. And after that, in session 2, we understood the definition of compassion. We saw basically 2 videos and logically learned the definition of compassion. Yes, where compassion is when you see someone in need, care about their feelings, and do something to show you care. Yes, that was a definition, a simple definition we have given to students. And we also saw the life history of national heroes like Acharya Vinoba Bhave and others, who actually personify the compassion. And most importantly, in session 2, we saw some ordinary Indians, yeah, normal people around us. We saw that 69 modern day heroes of India who are as great as our national heroes. Yeah, and they are known for their compassionate work in their local areas like Palam Kalyana Sundaram and others. The students have read about it, and we explained about the importance of being compassionate in our given situation than thinking in a setup, in a bigger setup we will do. No, we start in our given situation wherever we are. That was the message conveyed. And after that, we started with the skits. Yeah, we gave scenarios for the skits, 4 scenarios. We divided the class into groups, and we have assigned the students these skits, and we kind of encourage them to enjoy perform these skits. Yeah, so these skits are very important aspect of our teaching, especially the value education. Skits are the best form of learning values in life, because that's where they live that value for that moment. So in general, we can see that the passion for lifelong learning actually exists in all of us. Yeah, and all it takes is finding our own way to channel into what brings it alive. So these skits actually bring these values alive. Yeah, And the discussion after each skit is most important, not just that the students perform skits. After each skit we can have a class discussion that really brings it even more beautifully. Yeah, and we discussed as a class where we can show compassion in future starting from today. That's what we encourage to the students. Yeah, and then finally we arrived at a point where we told the students that to know if someone needs compassion, we look for clues like emotions. The word emotions is what we stressed upon at the end of the session 2. We show compassion by saying and doing things that show others we care. Yes, things make us ready for this new session. So, what are the things that are essential for compassion? So we arrived at a word called empathy. So that's how we're going to start this class. Yes. So in the similar way we can revise with students. In our next slide we can see that turn and talk to your partner. This is where we can start this session 3 with the students. Yeah, what I did in previous slide is for our sake, the recap. Now turn and talk to your partner for the students. We need to give few moments to meditate upon what compassion means and how to demonstrate it. Pause for a few seconds and the students can then turn and talk to a partner together about what they remember about compassion. This is actually the interpersonal intelligence. Some students are really good at this. So this activity actually brings in that interest component in students when they talk to the partners. Always guide them, they might get distracted, so it's our responsibility that we need to guide them towards proper discussion. So we can again after they share, some students can share to the class, then we can again come back from our definition from previous session 2. Compassion is when you notice another person or animal is in need and you have concern for them that you want to show. Yes, and we can tell them during the end of the session 2 we saw that compassion can include a number of components. The feeling in your heart for others, understanding and caring about the feelings of others, understanding what others need or want, and wanting to do something that might help. Yes. So now the session 2, the final words which we gave about compassion is to know if someone needs compassion. We look into clues like emotions. We show compassion by saying and doing things that show others we care. So after telling that, we can tell that compassion is love and care in action. When we show action, when we show our love and care in action. So how to develop that concern for people? So that is where our today's topic comes into play. Empathy. So we can ask the students. So let's see how many of you know about empathy. You totally know about it, or you kind of know about it, or you have never heard about it. So again, 90% of the students generally say have heard it before but not exactly sure what it means. So we can tell the students that compassion, what we understood about the components of compassion, if you see the first 2 points, feeling in your heart for others. Yeah, without feeling, we generally don't, apply it. We don't actually make it an action. Understanding and caring about feelings of others. So without understanding, we wouldn't be able to take the action. So these 2 components are important. So that's where we come to this component called empathy. The definition of empathy is when you see someone in a situation or hear a story and you can understand what they want and how they might feel. So this is about understanding the feelings of others, what they may be feeling. We say we put ourselves into the shoes of others and then understand what they must be going through. So that is what is technically empathy is. So next we're going to show them a video. Tie again. This came in session 2 where we used it for defining compassion. So now we're going to use a little advanced version of that video where we're going to show them what is empathy. I'll just run through this. Yeah, so here there are about 4 characters and we're going to see so this video visually presents the idea of empathy. So discussion about this video we can have with the students. Discuss as a class. Did anyone in the video feel empathy for Ty? How do you know? What did you think or feel when Brandon treated Ty badly? Did Alex have empathy or did she show compassion? What is the difference? So students generally understand from that previous video and they discuss as a class and they answer, and there is no right or wrong answer. We are just guiding them towards a proper understanding, and even if a student gives wrong answer, don't immediately stop them, but in a in a in a way bring them to a right understanding through our other students. So do not condemn their answers. It is always wonderful if the class discuss as a class, and if the students speak. There are some interpersonal students, they never speak, but when they speak, please encourage them. Yes. All right. Then after that we have the definition of empathy with its etymology. This is about linguistic intelligence. Some students are really good at it. Let them share. They can go through this slide. It's in their workbook. They can read that and just share. Yes, and yeah, I forgot to tell you, please read page number 7 to 15 in the workbook before starting this session. Okay, this is definition of empathy modeled on German Einfühlung, which was coined by German philosopher Rudolf Lotze as a translation of Greek empathia, in and pathos, feeling. Of course, in Sanskrit it is again called karuna. Yeah, compassion or empathy. Turn and talk. When was a time you felt empathy for someone else? So the students can now analyze about their life where they felt the feelings of others. Most of the time we are not trained in understanding feelings of others. Generally what happens in a family setup, generally the kids learn from childhood in a bigger family setup, but because of nuclear families that training is not there. So this is our opportunity. This is an opportunity where we can actually train them to understand the feelings of others. When was a time when you had empathy and then showed compassion like Alex did? So they meditate upon it and they actually come up with good answers. Yeah, always encourage them to talk. Yes, some students might talk always. Do not condemn them, let them speak. And all, do not force other students who are intrapersonal, who are generally silent. About 10 to 15% of the class is generally silent. These students are very good observers. It doesn't mean that they are, if they are not participating, they are not learning. Their personality is like that. So if they speak, encourage them, but don't force them also to speak. They get very nervous, and they might not want to come to the class. This happens. Yes. Okay. Yes, this next activity is the Venn diagram of empathy and compassion. Now we understood about compassion and now empathy also. Are they same? Are they similar? Are there anything in common? Are they totally different? The students are going to see this. So this is a logical mathematical intelligence aspect. When you show this Venn diagram, about 30% of the class is active. These are the students who are logically mathematical. Yes, how to conduct this activity? In their workbook they have this diagram. So there are scenarios in the next slide. If you see, these are also in the workbook. Venn diagram cards 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So each one describes whether it is empathy or compassion, or it can apply both. So is a feeling, I'm looking at the second card, is a feeling. Yes. Is compassion a feeling? No, compassion is action. Empathy is a feeling. In empathy there need not be action. It can be just a feeling. So they're going to put that number here. In here instance, I'll just show you the pointer here. Okay, they're going to put that number. Which one is that? Number 2. They're going to put here. Then empathy in action. Empathy in action is compassion. You have the feeling, so that number can be here. Which number is that? 6. Number 6 can come here. So empathy in action is compassion. Like that, all the 8 Venn diagram cards with their numbers can be put in the Venn diagram here. Yeah, guide them accordingly. And this is when they understand about compassion and empathy. Yes, and the necessity of empathy to be compassionate. Yes, and discuss as a class. Now, can you see empathy? Can you see compassion? What does it look like? When someone is hurt and needs compassion, how does empathy help? What are some times when it might be hard to feel empathy? Let the students come up with answers. After that, do I need empathy? Still confusion. Do I need to know the feelings of others? Here we can tell them to read a story, a half or a quarter of a chocolate bar. This is in their workbook. They can silently read. It's a very touching story. Yes, after reading the story, the students can, one of them can tell what is the theme of the story. Yes, this is a real story. So you read it and discuss in the class. So we can tell them empathy is very important because it makes a person creative. It gives that emotional connection. It gives that feeling of safety. It's useful for identifying the needs of others. It's very useful for collaboration and negotiation. And at this point we can tell the students that the 85% of the success depends on people skills, and only 15% is actually the technical skills. So this is the most important thing. to be successful in life. So that point we can tell. So that I will that's there in the comment section, so you can always look in there. Yes, after that our next activity is form a group of 3 or 4. Each group take one of the chart papers and markers. We can provide them chart papers and markers, or the same thing is in their workbook also, so they can actually write in their workbook. Your group chart paper should be presented like the following slide, taking any one of the scenarios in the following 4 slides. You have about 5 to 7 minutes to work together in your groups to fill out your respective chart papers. So if it is chart paper, they can divide it like this. Yeah, they can divide it like 2 sections. This is the scenario. Rishikesh drew a picture he was really proud of, but his friend made fun of it. Now the students can write how how do you think they might feel? What do you think they might need or want? So this the students can do. So as per the groups, there are 4 scenarios. Rishikesh and Sharwani fell during a performance in front of the school and everyone laughed. Ajit started a new school and doesn't have any friends yet. Ridya's family was late picking her up. She was the last one and waited alone. So these scenarios, the students can write the answers for the 2 questions. How do you think they might feel? What do you think they might need or want in that scenario? Yeah, after working on it, after 5 to 7 minutes, let the students share their work with the class. How would you turn empathy into compassion for each scenario? So this is where the application of empathy into compassion. Yes, students generally have beautiful answers and beautiful ways to come up with solutions. So let them share. Turn and talk to your partner. Now this is a recap. What is empathy? How might empathy help you become more compassionate? Discuss as a class what we can do to practice empathy at school and at home. What are the action points? What actions we can take? Yes. Then our final activity, complete the worksheet. How do you feel? There is a 2-page worksheet in the workbook. They can write there the questions. They can do it as homework, or if the time permits in the class, they can do it here. Empathy. Understand what another person is feeling. See the world through another's eyes. See the world through another's eyes. The most important topic. Most of the emotional intelligence training which happens in the corporate world is actually based on empathy, because the training is missing from last few generations. Once the families are becoming smaller and smaller, this understanding is not there. So that is why we need a training like this. So do it nicely and the students will really appreciate that they learned it. Okay, thank you so much. See you in session 4.